A 68-year-old retired teacher told her doctor she was losing her mind, names slipping, where she'd parked, the thread of a conversation gone mid-sentence. The scans were clean. No tumor, no early dementia. But she kept waking at 2 a.m., wide awake, heart going, for an hour every single night. That was the whole problem. A brain signal firing at 2 a.m. was quietly dismantling her memory, and the same signal may be firing in yours. Here's what it is, and how to shut it off. Here's what almost everyone believes about memory loss after 50. They think it's the daytime that matters, that if they could just concentrate harder, do more puzzles, eat the right foods, take the right supplement, they'd hold on to their memory. They treat forgetting as a daytime failure. It is not. Your memory is not made during the day. It's made at night. This is one of the most important things neuroscience has uncovered in the last 20 years, and most people have never heard it. During the day, your brain only takes notes. Rough, temporary, fragile notes, stored in a small structure called the hippocampus, your brain's notepad. But the notepad is small, and it's not permanent. The actual filing, moving each memory from the fragile notepad into deep, durable, long-term storage in the cortex, happens while you sleep, specifically during the deepest stage of sleep. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If your deep sleep is broken, it doesn't matter how sharp you are during the day. The notes you took get erased before they're ever filed. You experienced the day, you just never saved it. And here's the bridge to the real problem. There's a single biological signal that, in many adults over 50, fires in the small hours of the night and shreds that deep sleep right when the filing is supposed to happen. It has a name, it has a cause, and the research on shutting it down is clearer than you'd expect. But to fix it, you first have to understand exactly what your brain is supposed to do between 2 and 4 a.m. and what that 2 a.m. signal does to wreck it. Let me show you what your brain is doing at 2 a.m. when everything goes right, because it's astonishing and almost nobody is taught it. In deep sleep, what scientists call slow wave sleep, your brain produces enormous, slow electrical waves, rolling through the tissue roughly once a second. These aren't random. Each slow wave is the brain replaying the day's memories and pressing them into permanent storage. Think of it like a librarian working alone after closing time, taking the loose papers piled on the front desk and carefully filing each one into the right cabinet, deep in the back. That nightly filing is what turns a fleeting experience into a memory you can recall years later. This filing has a specific home in the night. The richest deep sleep happens in the first half, but the system keeps working in cycles through the early morning hours, and disruption in that 2 to 4 a.m. window is especially costly because it fragments the cycles that haven't finished their work. Now here's the first hard fact about aging. Deep sleep doesn't just get a little shorter as you age, it collapses. Research from the University of California, Berkeley, found that by the time you're in your 70s, you may have lost up to 80 to 90% of the deep, slow-wave sleep you had as a young adult. Read that number again. Not 10% less, up to 80 or 90% gone. And the researchers found something that should stop you cold. They showed that this loss of deep sleep directly predicts memory decline. The less deep sleep an older adult got, the worse they performed on memory tests the next day. The librarian was being sent home before the filing was done. The papers just sat on the desk, and by morning, they were gone. This is why so many people over 50 say the same thing. I can remember 1975 perfectly, but I can't remember what someone told me yesterday. That's not a coincidence. Old memories were filed decades ago, when your deep sleep was intact. New memories never get filed at all, because the deep sleep that would file them has thinned out. Your long-term archive is fine. Your filing department has been quietly shut down. But losing deep sleep naturally with age is only part of it, because something can actively attack what little deep sleep you have left and reach into the exact hours when the filing happens. That something is a chemical your own body produces, and it's supposed to be helping you. What it does instead is the most disturbing part of this whole story. Meet the 2 a.m. signal. Its name is cortisol. Cortisol is your body's alarm hormone. It's what's supposed to surge in the early morning to wake you up, get you out of bed, and start your day. In a healthy rhythm, cortisol hits rock bottom around midnight, stays low through the deep sleep hours, and only begins climbing toward dawn. That low cortisol window in the dead of night is exactly when deep sleep and memory filing are protected. Low alarm, deep sleep, filing proceeds. But here's what goes wrong in so many people after 50. Chronic stress, anxiety, and the changes that come with aging can shove that rhythm out of place. Instead of staying low, cortisol spikes too early, often right in that 2 to 4 a.m. window. Research has documented this. Nighttime awakenings are linked to pulses of cortisol release, and the rise can begin in the small hours. The alarm hormone goes off in the middle of the night, in the middle of the filing. And cortisol and deep sleep cannot coexist. They are chemical opposites. Cortisol is the wake-up signal. Deep sleep is the shutdown state. When cortisol surges at 2 a.m., it does exactly what it was designed to do. It wakes you. You snap awake, sometimes with your heart racing, sometimes for no reason you can name, and you lie there for an hour. The librarian gets yanked out of the building mid-shift. The filing stops cold. If you've ever woken at 2 or 3 a.m., wide-eyed, unable to fall back asleep, your mind oddly alert, this is very likely what's happening inside you. That's not random. That's your alarm hormone firing in the wrong hour. And every time it fires, it's interrupting the one process that saves your memories. Now, here's the part that turns this from a sleep problem into a brain damage problem. Cortisol doesn't just wake you up. At chronically high levels, it's directly toxic to the hippocampus, your memory notepad itself. Research has long shown that prolonged cortisol exposure is associated with shrinkage of the hippocampus. So the 2 a.m. signal does double damage. First, it interrupts the filing of today's memories. Second, over months and years, it corrodes the very structure that takes the notes in the first place. The notepad shrinks, and the filing clerk keeps getting sent home. Both ends of your memory system attacked by the same signal. Read that again, because it reframes everything. The problem isn't that you're getting forgetful. The problem is that a stress hormone is firing in the dark and tearing down your memory machinery from two directions at once. If this is connecting things you've felt for years, and you want the exact protocol to shut this signal down and protect your deep sleep, subscribe now. The protocol is coming up in just a moment, and it's the most actionable part of this entire video. Because there's a second nighttime process this signal sabotages too. And once you hear it, you'll understand why fixing your 2 a.m. sleep may be the single most important thing you do for your brain. That second process is your brain's cleaning system, and it only runs in deep sleep. So let's fix it. Here are 5 steps to shut down the 2 a.m. signal and rebuild your deep sleep. Each targets the cortisol problem directly. Start tonight. Step 1. Anchor your wake time, not your bedtime. Get up at the exact same time every morning, including weekends, within 15 minutes. Why it works. Your cortisol rhythm is set by when you wake and when you see light, not when you go to bed. A consistent wake time teaches your body to keep cortisol low at night and release it on schedule in the morning, instead of firing at 2 a.m. This is the foundation. Without it, the rest does less. Step 2. Get bright light into your eyes within 30 minutes of waking. Go outside or sit by a window for 10 to 15 minutes. Why it works. Morning light delivers a deliberate, properly timed cortisol pulse at the right hour. This sharpens the whole 24-hour rhythm, so the hormone has less reason to misfire in the night. Light in the morning is, paradoxically, one of the best treatments for waking at 2 a.m. Step 3. Stop eating 3 hours before bed and be careful with late alcohol. Why it works. Digesting food and metabolizing alcohol both raise cortisol and core body temperature, and both fragment deep sleep. Alcohol especially. It may help you fall asleep, but it's notorious for causing a rebound awakening around 2 to 3 a.m., exactly when you can't afford it. An empty, settled system lets deep sleep deepen. Step 4. Lower the bedroom temperature. Aim for around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Why it works. Your body must drop its core temperature to enter and hold deep sleep. A cool room makes that drop easier, increasing the amount and stability of slow-wave sleep, the exact stage the 2 a.m. signal steals from you. Step 5. When you do wake at 2 a.m., do not fight it and do not check the time. If you're awake more than 20 minutes, get up, sit somewhere dim, and do something boring until you feel sleepy again. Why it works. Lying in bed anxious about being awake spikes cortisol higher, which guarantees you stay awake. The exact loop you're trying to break. Staying calm, keeping lights low, and not clock watching keeps cortisol from climbing further and lets you slide back into sleep. If even one of these steps was new to you, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to more people over 50 who lie awake at 2 a.m. and have no idea it's quietly costing them their memory. That one tap genuinely helps. And here's the encouragement. This isn't theory. Researchers at Northwestern University ran studies where they played quiet, precisely timed sounds during older adults' deep sleep to boost their slow brainwaves, and the participants' memory test scores improved measurably the next morning. The deep sleep filing system isn't gone, it's suppressed. Restore the conditions, protect those hours, and the librarian goes back to work. Even after years of broken nights, the system responds when you finally give it what it needs. Now the second process, the one that turns this from a memory issue into something far larger. For over a century, scientists believed the brain had no way to clean itself. Every other organ has the lymphatic system flushing out waste. The brain seemed to have nothing. Then, in 2012, researchers at the University of Rochester discovered it did, a hidden plumbing network they named the glymphatic system. And what they found about when it runs changes everything. The glymphatic system is your brain's overnight cleaning crew. During the day, your brain cells produce metabolic waste, garbage essentially, including a sticky protein called amyloid beta, the same amyloid beta that builds up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. During the day, that waste accumulates. Your brain has no time to take out the trash while it's busy running your life. But at night, in deep sleep, something remarkable happens. The Rochester team found that during deep sleep, the cells in your brain actually shrink, opening up the spaces between them by as much as 60%. Cerebrospinal fluid then floods through those widened channels, washing the day's waste, including the amyloid, out of the brain. Picture a city where, every night, the streets widen and a flood of clean water rushes through, carrying away all the garbage before morning. That flood only happens in deep sleep. Read this slowly. The waste your brain clears at 2 a.m. includes the exact protein linked to Alzheimer's, and it only gets cleared if you reach deep sleep. Now connect the whole circuit. The 2 a.m. cortisol signal wakes you out of deep sleep. When deep sleep is cut short, two things fail at once. The librarian can't finish filing your memories, and the cleaning crew can't finish washing out the waste. The garbage stays. Night after night, year after year, the amyloid that should have been flushed away simply accumulates. A 2018 study from the National Institutes of Health found that just one night of sleep deprivation produced a measurable increase in amyloid beta in the brains of healthy adults. One night. This is what almost nobody talks about. The same broken deep sleep that erases yesterday's memories may also be letting the very proteins associated with dementia build up in your brain. The 2 a.m. signal isn't just stealing your recall. It may be quietly raising your long-term risk in a way you can't feel and a scan won't catch for years. I'd guess many of you have shrugged off bad nights as no big deal, just tiredness, just part of getting older. Tell me in the comments, how many nights a week do you wake around 2 or 3 a.m.? I think a lot of you are about to realize you've been underestimating this for a long time. But here's the hope, and it's real. The system isn't broken, it's interrupted. The librarian is still there. The cleaning crew is still there. They're just being sent home early, every night, by a hormone firing in the wrong hour. Protect those hours, which you now know exactly how to do, and both systems go back to work. That's the entire game. Not more daytime effort, better nights. Think back to that retired teacher from the start. She wasn't losing her mind. She was losing her 2 a.m. Once her doctor helped steady her cortisol rhythm and her deep sleep returned, the fog lifted over a matter of weeks. The memories had never been damaged. They'd simply never been saved. The machinery was intact the whole time. It was just being switched off in the dark, every single night, by a signal she didn't know was firing. That's the part I want you to hold on to. This is not a story about decline. It's a story about interruption, and interruptions can be stopped. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Have you been blaming your daytime brain for something that might actually be happening at 2 a.m.? And here's a simple test. For the next 3 nights, notice whether you wake in the small hours and roughly what time. Just observing it is the first step to fixing it. Let me know what you find. Here's the truth underneath all of it, the line worth keeping. Your memory isn't fading in the daylight. It's being stolen in the dark. You don't need a sharper day. You need a quieter, deeper, unbroken night. The kind your brain has been begging for. The kind where the librarian finishes filing and the cleaning crew finishes washing. Every memory saved, every bit of waste cleared before you ever open your eyes. Share this with someone who wakes at 2 a.m. and thinks it doesn't matter. It matters more than almost anything they're doing for their brain in daylight. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you should. What's coming next is something I've spent months researching, and it will change how you see your own mind. Tonight, when the house goes quiet, your brain is ready to do its most important work. All you have to do is let it.